What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the Fantasy Files. Today I have a spoiler-free review for The Iron Crown by LL Macrae. I should also mention ahead of time that I was granted an audiobook review copy in return for an honest review. So as always, that means we'll be talking about both the things that I liked and the things that I didn't, and who I would recommend this book to. Before we get started, we would really appreciate it if you would smash those like and subscribe buttons if you end up enjoying this content. It really helps out the channel and lets us know that you guys are interested in these kind of videos. You can also follow us on Twitter at Files Fantasy for more book recommendations, as well as random rantings and pictures of my wiener dog, Hank. With all that YouTuber stuff out of the way, let's get to the good stuff, shall we? The Iron Crown by LL Macrae is a fun, self-published fantasy novel, mostly about a boy named Fenn who wakes up at the beginning of the book having no idea who he is or where he's from, but he's found by two women who go by the names of Kalidra and Giselle, who somewhat begrudgingly take him along on their own journey in hopes that he will remember who he is. On their journey, they realize there are others like Fenn that are being rounded up by the Queen's Inquisitors, who are of the belief that these lost souls are part of a larger game by an evil power. Throughout the beginning of the story, we realize that this ancient power is starting to reawaken after it was defeated and put to rest long ago. The time of peace is over, and now it's time for unlikely allies to band together with Fenn at the center of it all. The standout moments from this book are in the character interactions with each other and the ever-growing mystery of who Fenn really is and why this darkness is re-emerging. It's a fairly easy read that never gets bogged down in complexities and too many point of views, not to mention the outstanding performance by R.J. Bailey for the audiobook narration. My favorite character from the book was a thief named Apollo, who has given up his life of crime to settle down with his wife and child out in the country, but gets dragged back into the Queen's machinations once she realizes that this ancient power has reawakened. He's a pretty funny, snarky character who has a lot of heart and confidence, and I really enjoyed seeing a rogue character who has given up his criminal life to settle down and just be normal. However, most of his scenes were actually really sad and tragic and really endeared me to the character because of that. The magic is a pretty soft system, I would say. The way I understood it is that certain people, mostly the Inquisitors, have these dragon spirits that they've bonded with, which allow them to use their magic, with the human being somewhat of a conduit, I guess, for the dragon's will. I did really enjoy this magic system, and it led to some really great action scenes. Okay, so I'll be honest, when I picked up this book to read, I was kind of in the middle of a reading slump where nothing I was reading was quite working for me. So that may have led to some of the following things that, didn't work for me in this book. I felt like the pacing was very slow going, and I think that some people may have the same problem with this that they had with The Eye of the World, as there's lots of travel scenes where not a whole lot is happening. Those scenes tend to build up the characters' relationships with one another, which was really great. But the whole time, I kept waiting for more things to gradually be revealed about the mystery of Fenn, and we don't really get too many answers until the very end of the book, and even then we're still left on a bit of a cliffhanger. I was really hoping for gradual revelations throughout the book that would really hook me and keep me guessing as to what was actually going on with this guy. I would have really loved to have been theorizing with all the breadcrumbs that we could have been given and kind of picked up along the way. But the mystery around him stayed pretty vague, I feel like. And like I said, I feel like I still didn't quite understand who he was or anything by the end. It's possible that it did get explained and I just missed it. But by the end of the book, I definitely had the feeling that we didn't get enough information about who he is or where he comes from. And before you yell at me in the comments, I understand that that stuff will likely get explained in the next book. But without that particular revelation, it made me feel like nothing much had really happened in this book. I sort of felt like I was left near the same place I was at when the book started, and the abrupt ending left me with some mixed feelings, as it definitely had that to be continued kind of vibe. But if you go in knowing that, I think you'll have an easier time with that particular thing than I did. Now, that being said, I did enjoy this book. If I didn't like it, I would have just DNF'd it because I have no problem DNFing books. But I really did fall in love with these characters, and I wanted to know where they would end up and what their roles in the larger story would be by the end. The mystery about who Fen is and where he came from kept me intrigued until the very end of the book, because from the get-go, there's really no way to tell what has happened to him. And I really loved that and thought it was an interesting and bold approach to a character. I would definitely recommend this book in general. But specifically, I would recommend it to anyone who enjoyed like The Ember Blade, Eye of the World, or Of Blood and Fire by Ryan Cahill. And really anyone who enjoys dragons and softer magic systems. LL Macrae has shown herself to be a great writer in this new novel, and I'm very interested to see what she does next. I'll most likely pick up the second book to see if we get some more answers, and I'll probably give The Iron Crown a reread beforehand to make sure that I didn't miss anything. All right, well, that's going to wrap us up there. Thanks for watching, and I'll have The Iron Crown linked below in the description for anyone who wants to check it out. I do recommend the audiobook, as RJ Bailey is one of my favorite narrators, and I really feel like he did an outstanding job with this one. Some of the characters, I was like, I don't know how he's physically or vocally doing that voice. It was really, really impressive. He really is the great wizard of audiobooks. If you're new here, feel free to drop a comment down below to say hi and check out the rest of our channel. We have a bunch of podcast episodes with my co-host Gabe and more reviews and topical discussions like this one. Don't forget to do all the YouTube things like liking and subscribing down below, and hit that little bell icon to get notified when we put up new content. As I mentioned, you can also follow us on Twitter at FilesFantasy for all the reasons that I said before. Thanks for watching, and until next time, I now need to go seek therapy for my brand new fear of waking up in a swamp with no memory of who I am. Goodbye.